everybody, this is Phoebe Smith with Love Relationships Real Talk. I was inspired to do this episode because I was thinking back to when I was in a session with a couple and they had a lot of resentments in their relationship and they were trying to do some repair work in their relationship as a result of past hurts and incidents that have inflicted scars in their marriage. They actually came to me because their kids had shared with them that they were unhappy in the household because their parents are arguing all the time. So in this session, as I was listening, I started to take in information that really pointed to things that you really should never do inside of your love relationship, because we have to think about the context in a bigger picture way in regards to how we deal with our partner. Now, sometimes we're going to have missteps and we're going to make mistakes. But when we think about the mistakes that we make, we really do have power over how severe those mistakes are. Like, there are things that we know we should not do. And when you're in the throes of or in the heat of an argument, even then, you should know that there are things that you do or say that you should not do. So I never wanted to actually have a episode about fair fighting because that's sort of cliche-ish, but definitely there are ways in which we have arguments or fight with each other that really are not cool. And so I wanted to go over some of the things that we could be looking at as we are dealing with our relationships and if we're in breakdown with our relationship. So I kind of have this concept or this ideology around like self-control, which is really what you need to have when you're dealing with an emotion like anger, like checking with yourself to see if you're in control. And it's sort of like, to me, like being drunk. There's drinking and you feel okay, right? You're conscious of what you're doing. You know, you're a little tipsy or whatever. And then if you continue to drink, you can definitely go to that threshold where you're drunk. And even then, in my opinion, I feel like you can still make conscious decisions about what things that you should or should not do. For example, driving. There's a conscious understanding that I believe people still have that makes them capable of making a good decision, even if they're under the influence of something. So you hear a lot of times that people will say that, they got drunk and ended up sleeping with somebody else, right? Like, to me, if you are that drunk to make a decision that would impact the rest of your life, then you are, and you're still walking and talking and upright, then you're conscious enough to make a better decision. That's my opinion. And so I think it's similar when we are angry. You might be pissed. You just can't think. You're just fuming. And I still think that you're in a state of mind where your consciousness will allow you to still make a good decision that could affect the overall long-term health and wellness of your relationship. So as I was in this session, I started to jot down things that I'm going to call the golden rules of love relationships. And there are things that I think we probably have done, but we should consider them as crossing the line or below the belt. And then maybe you can take these on, and in the next time when you're in a space where you have the opportunity to cross the line or not, you choose not to. And why would you choose not to, might you ask? Because a lot of times when you're in an argument, you're just thinking about winning. You're just thinking about being right. And yes, you want to be right and you want to go away feeling like you've been heard, but does that require your partner to be damaged or scarred in a way that's going to be prolonged throughout the duration of your relationship? I don't think so. So when you cross the line in these ways that I'm about to mention, that I call the golden rules in love relationship, then you actually inflict scars on your partner and therefore on the relationship that really don't need to be there, because you are conscious enough, I believe, at all times to make a better decision. My first golden rule is never leave in anger. You should only leave your relationship if your bags are packed. It should never be a threat or a form of manipulation. And I'll tell you why. When you threaten to leave a relationship that you really don't intend to leave, or that you're not ready to leave, it puts an indelible mark. It puts a memory in your relationship that your partner never forgets. Every human being has an internal underlying fear of being left. Human beings are pack animals. They're relationship oriented and they look for partnership. The opposite of being connected is being disconnected. So you can understand that when you threaten to leave, it brings up that primal fear in every human being, including you, that you're going to be left alone. And so that's why it puts an indelible mark on your relationship. And it's very hard to fix or heal. So in the throes or in the heat of an argument, leaving should never be an option. That should be a conscious decision that you choose not to make. When you do leave, it's because you are done. And this shouldn't be a surprise to your partner, because you've gone through the process to try to heal the relationship. The two of you together, it's not something that you spontaneously just decide on your own. You've gone through the process, you've done the work, and your partner is just as clear as you are that there's no more work that can be done. The relationship cannot be healed. And so together you come to the conclusion, okay, we're done. And that is the only time you should say the words, I'm leaving. You know that saying, words are power? It is absolutely true, isn't it? When you say something and it's out there in the universe, you can't take it back. It's out there. And your partner, even if they have moved on, if you healed the relationship, you've forgiven them. I've been in conversation with people where they're in the best place they've ever been inside of their relationship because they've healed from some hard times, and they still will bring up that time where their partner threatened to leave them. It doesn't go away when you throw that out there. So unless you mean it, don't put it out there. I've had a struggle with this throughout my relationships, where when the relationship is in serious crises, or really, to be honest, even if we have a bad argument, like this is how bad I am with this. And I've had to work on this very, very hard. I've never actually told Mark I'm leaving you, but I've wanted to like 150, 200 times throughout the span of our relationship. So it's something that comes up for me because fear-based actions make you want to flee the situation. And that's me. I want to get away from the situation. I want things to be peaceful. I want things to be resolved, and I want it to happen now. So that's my impulse, is to flee the situation. And so I understand what this feels like to be told I'm leaving you, whether they're leaving or not. But you don't forget it. So I've made it a point not to ever say it, but it is really, really hard not to feel that way when you have a crisis. But as you can see, 21 years later, we made it through those crises. So it feels good to me that that's not on are books of things that I wish I hadn't said. But I guess one thing I should add to this is that sometimes you do need to separate and take a break, or to regroup and refocus. You might even need to get individualized help to make the relationship work. This is not leaving, because there's an intention to continue working on the relationship once these reparations have taken place. So I understand realistically that sometimes people do need to separate and take a break. And that should be made clear that that's what's happening, not that you are done with the relationship and that you are leaving the relationship. Sometimes we do need to take a break, and sometimes that is the healthiest thing to do for the relationship. Because as you know, when you're embroiled in the emotions that are running through the relationship, taking a break is often a very good strategy to heal the relationship. The second golden rule that I have to share with you is to never speak negatively about your love to family members or people who you might consider family. People who you know are going to be around for the long haul and are going to watch the ins and outs and ups and downs of your relationship. And the reason why you don't want to speak negatively about your partner to these people is because their memory is hella good, right? So we're in love and we are going to go through the ups and downs that relationships do, which that's going to happen, right? But because we love our partners, will forgive them. But our family members, our people, our crew that backs us up, they don't have to forgive them. And a lot of times they don't forgive them. So it's very important that, although I know that we all need people to listen to what's going on with us and that we have someone in our lives that we can tell everything to, we need to make sure that in regards to our relationship, those people who we confide in to that degree in regards to the things that are going on in our relationship are people who don't have a stake in the relationship. Do you know what I mean? So like your mom, she has a stake in the relationship. Your dad, he has a stake in their relationship because they want you to be happy and they want you to be treated in a particular way. And if you're not being treated that way, they remember that stuff. And it makes it really hard for them to forgive your partner if you choose to move forward with the relationship. So there are other people, friends and family members who have a stake in the relationship that's not supportive of you even. It's really more like jealousy. So they might not want the relationship to work out for whatever reasons, but we know that exists, right? We know that happens. Somebody might not be in a good relationship themselves or don't have a relationship and they don't want yours to work out. Who knows what the motivation is for people when they speak so negatively or present their side of things as if their opinion matters in your relationship. It does not. And so the way that you prevent their participation in your relationship is to keep your relationship between you and your partner. Third golden rule is watch your mouth. The old adage that we hurt the ones closest to us shows up in so many areas of our lives. We are willing to say rude and hurtful things to our love. And that statement right there is an oxymoron. Wouldn't you agree? But it's true. We will say mean and hurtful things to our love. We'll call them out of their name in disagreements. We'll tell them to shut up. We'll say disparaging things about them while others are around or to others. And most of the time, when we fall to these depths, as love would have it, we are forgiven. But what if we made an effort not to do this at all? You can do it because you do it with others and demand it for yourself. It's not just fighting dirty or blacking out in your anger. When you do this to your love, it affects who they are. When the person they have entrusted their human frailties to belittles them. Again, this is a chink in the armor that is made up of love and trust in your relationship. and it's so hard to heal or mend. So think about not saying these things at all. And then the chink doesn't even occur. It's not anything that you have to heal or come back from. It's not a part of your relationship at all. In the larger scheme of things of your relationship, all of these things that you go out of your way or you are conscious about not doing in your relationship, they create an environment that is based on respect and love, which is what you want, opposed to the same happening in the negative. And when you say these disparaging things to your love that is hurtful, over time, those things build up instead of what you really want, which is love, respect, healing, and an overall peaceful, harmonious spirit running through your relationship. My fourth golden rule is never share intimate details of your relationship with others. Why? It's none of their business. And it's a betrayal to the sacred space of your union. So really, I guess this golden rule should be to treat your relationship as if it's a sacred thing between you and your partner. Leave something as sacred in your relationship. Of course, there are things that you probably will share with others about your relationship, but have an intention to leave certain things sacred in your relationship between you and your love. You can kind of sort this out in your thinking like this. You know that there's a sacred place for you and your husband, basically your bedroom, right? Or your bed. Even though you tell everything to your best friend, aside from your husband, let's say you choose that one person to tell everything to, would you invite your best friend into your bed, into that sacred space that you have with your husband or your partner? If you have, I would love to hear how that worked for you in the comments section below. The last golden rule that I have for you is never use intimate knowledge of your partner's taboos against them. So if your love has shared with you intimate pieces of themselves, their wounds, their hurts, things that have happened to them that have shaped who they are, positive for the positive and for the negative, never ever use those things against them when you are in an argument or when you are in a disagreement or if you're in a crisis of any kind. Never do that. It is egregious when you take intimate knowledge that they've shared with you and then you throw it back in their faces to, I'm not really sure why you would do that, but people have done that. And so when you do that, again, it is so difficult to come back from that. It is so difficult to heal a hurt of that magnitude. So consider that when you are in an argument, as I mentioned from the beginning of this episode, there are things that you could do that are crossing the line in your love relationship. And you have control over your behavior in those situations. There is no excuse for crossing the line in these ways. If you don't, or if you do, agree with the golden rules that I've stated and that whether or not they cross the line or not, I would love to continue this conversation with you. So email me, leave your comments in the comments section below, and post those golden rules somewhere. You might need them.